guys, my name is Mayana and today I'm going to be doing part 2 of 3 of my Worth the Hype series. So today I'm going to be talking about popular books that are not worth the hype, and I don't really do disclaimers, but before we even get into disclaimers, let me say please excuse my eyelash. I have filmed like 3 videos, they were falling off and I did not know, but please ignore them. You know, just because I don't like these books don't mean they're the worst thing in the world. Like, you're free to like whatever you like. We all don't like the same things, blah blah blah, whatever. I don't really care that much. Let's get to it, because one thing about me is I love being a hater. Okay, the first book I have is Legends and Lattes. This book took booktube by a storm, or the book community by a storm. It is a cozy fantasy, which I thought I would love cozy fantasy because like I love like the genre that I call cozy paranormal romances, and I don't know, I love cozy things. I'm a cozy girl, so I just thought that like I would love cozy fantasy. That is not the case. I don't like books that don't have plots. I do like characters, but I need plots and characters. I can also have a book that has good plots but no like characters I don't care about, but I need plot. I cannot sit here and read about characters just talking to each other and just doing things. Like, I don't know what it is. I cannot, that's just not something that I love. And so that's pretty much what Legends and Lattes is. It doesn't really have a plot. It's like really boring. It's just a character like building things, and I'm like, I don't know, I could just play The Sims if I really wanted, you know, it that bad. It like sucks because like the book cover is so pretty, and like the like new cover or like special edition or whatever is very beautiful. It's just not for me. Next book I have is The Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which is, I don't really know if this book is technically like popular, but I've seen a lot of people talk about it. So yeah, it definitely like cozy fantasy, which is just not for me. Like I said, I didn't really care about any of the characters. I thought that the love interest was okay. I thought that like he was kind of annoying a little bit. I didn't really care about the main character. I thought that like the dynamics between a romance was like pretty good, but it wasn't enough. And sometimes I found the kids in the book annoying, which like children are annoying. I know I have a bunch of younger siblings. Like, I don't mind children being annoying, but it's like, I don't know. So yeah, the next book I have is Red Rising. I do own these books actually, but I don't know what it was. Like, I just found, I don't know what it was. I just didn't connect with the stories, I guess. Like, everyone else like loves these series. Like, it's like people's like all-time favorite characters. Let me say, I do love Severo. Severo is my king. That is my man. Like, I do love me some Severo, but like, I don't know, I just didn't connect with the story as much as like everybody else did. Like, everybody else is like absolutely obsessed. Like, they're so excited for the other books to be coming out and all this other stuff. And I was just like, okay, it's okay. I was really bored for the first like half of this book, and so I remember making a post and I was like, does anybody else think this book is boring, or is it just me? Because it's like really hyped up. I put off of it for a very long time, and then it just wasn't. It wasn't for me. It's not for me. You know, we can't all love everything, and that's okay. Next book is Icebreaker. I gave this book 3 stars. It's not like a bad book or anything. I just don't think it's worth the hype. Like, I don't know, everybody hypes it up. First of all, it's way longer than what it needs to be. It does not need to be damn near 400 pages. I do like the dynamics. It's like a black cat and golden retriever boy, which like I do like. I just don't like the hookup trope. I like that trope. I like the friends with benefits trope in like movies and TV shows. I just don't think it translates. It's not my type of thing in romance books. Like, I like seeing like a lot of like slow burn. Taylor Jenkins Reid's historical books. I don't like any of them. I didn't like The Seventh Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I thought that like Daisy Jones and the Six was like okay. I haven't watched the TV show or anything. And then I tried to read Malibu Rising, but I quickly DNF'd it. I might give Carrie Soto a try, but I just don't like them. I just think that they're like really boring. Not even really boring, I don't know. Because actually, Seven Houses of Evelyn Hugo, like, I have my issues with that on its own. I actually have a rant on My Inner Reads if you care for that one. But like, Daisy Jones and the Six wasn't bad. Daisy Jones and Evelyn Hugo are the same person to me. I say this all the time, and fans are like, no, they're like 2 different people. I'm sorry, but they may not, obviously they're not like the exact same person, but they have like the same like characteristics and the same attitude, in my opinion. Next book I have is the Nightingale. I read this earlier this year. It's not like a super hype book, but it's hyped enough. And I feel like I'm so close to the camera. Like I don't like being this close. I don't know. I can't really back up. So I guess we're just gonna be this close. I just feel like everyone loved The Bear and the Nightingale, and I read it earlier this year and I thought it was okay. That was fine. I wasn't like obsessed with it. And then the second book I thought was like okay. I could not read the third book. Like I know that's like everybody else's favorite, but it's like the first two books were like okay to me, and like I don't know, I cannot read books that I think are boring for too long. Like I just cannot stick around that long for a series. And so I just was like I DNF'd it. I was like I can't do this. I just think there's like really, I don't know, like it's a good, the first two books are good, but like did they deserve that much hype? I don't think so. We Were Liars. This book like was hyped up when I first joined booktube, and I just read it recently, like I want to say 2 months ago. You can go see my vlog of me reading it. I just read it 2 months ago and I thought the book was ass. And like it's so crazy like reading books that were popular back in the day, and like seeing, like knowing now, like when I was watching the videos being like oh this book must be so good, like everybody's talking about it, and then fast forward to like 5 years later and I'm like wow, that was terrible. Like this is what y'all was reading, this is what y'all was hyping up. And that's what I love about my series, where I read popular books from like a few years ago as like, you know, now, because it's like I get to see like what y'all was reading and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that series. I am going to do more videos. Notes on Your Execution. Everyone was like oh, this book was just so amazing, like this book is just so mind-blowing. I gave the book 3 stars, and that was to be nice. I think that the book really, personally to me, I just feel like the book didn't really bring anything new to the table. It really didn't open up like any like discussions like I thought it was gonna to. I thought it was gonna like really hit some discussions and really talk about some shit. It didn't. T. Kingfisher. Now I don't really think that T. Kingfisher doesn't deserve, like I don't think it's, I don't know how to explain it, because I think that like she deserves the hype, but it's just not for me. Like I just, anything like she writes I either DNF or I end up finishing it and I don't love it. Like has not been a book by T. Kingfisher where I'm like oh this was such a good book. Like I just think that like their books are fine, like they're okay, or I had to DNF them. Like I've yet to read a T. Kingfisher book that like I've loved, and so I think this is just the case of like where the author is just not for me, and I really want to like them. Like their ideas are so cool, and it's so crazy because a lot of the times like I'll start off their books and their ideas are so cool and it's being executed well, and then it'll just get boring like out of nowhere, or like the plot line will stay like stagnant out of like nowhere, and it's just like it's so confusing. Legendborn, which I'm gonna get ate up. Like I won't be surprised if this is like clipped and put on Twitter, because I know like this book has people that like really rides for them. And I'm not saying that like the author doesn't deserve the hype. I actually purposely tried not to put a lot of like authors of color on this list, simply because I feel like they deserve the hype. I don't care, like white authors are allowed to be mediocre and people hype them up, so I feel like we should allow authors of color to have the same. This is just like I just want more from this book, and like this book, I'm only putting this book on the list because it just wasn't for me and not because it doesn't deserve the hype, you know what I'm saying? It's just a popular book that I just don't love. But yeah, I just feel like this book, Bree's surrounded by a lot of white people. Like the target audience for this book is not me. I was very privileged to grow up in a black neighborhood and go to a primarily black school. I didn't even see my first white person until I was like 16, I think. So I have had the privilege of like always being surrounded by people of color, always being surrounded by black people. It's not a book for me. It's not a book, like I don't know what to say. And I thought that the book in general, like let's not even taking out the fact of like if this book was written for me or like not, I just feel like the book was like fine. I feel like it was like just too long for its own good. I think like Bree was a terrible friend, and I have some other issues with it. I talk about it in a vlog, but the book just wasn't for me. I didn't grow up around white people. I don't know what that's like, and I wanted to read this to give it a chance because I know that not every black person has the privilege to grow up around black people, and I know that like not everybody knows what that's like or whatever. So I try to be open to like everyone's experience. I just feel like a lot I don't know, I just feel like it wasn't, not saying like my experience needs to be written, but it's just like, I don't know, I feel like the author could have made this book, like put some black people in this book, like even just one black person, like, and she just, I don't know. Don't eat me up now. It's just not for me. I don't love it. That's fine. We all aren't gonna love the same things. I'm not hating on the book. I'm not saying y'all should never read this book. I support the author and I support like the series. Just not for me. Shattered me. So I remember I read this entire series in like 2 days. I ate the series up. The first 3 books were amazing. The second book specifically, oh my gosh, the second book was so good. It like gave X-Men vibes, like they all had like superpowers and they were in this school. The second book ate. The third book was like whatever, and then it's like the author just didn't know when to stop writing, and she kept like writing like pander to her audience, and like I get that. I just don't like when authors do that. I don't like being a part of that. Like, I don't know, I'm just not that kind of person. I like for my series to just be concise. Like everyone else, I love the folk of the air. I love June and Carter. I would love to keep June and Carter just in that series because the probability of your favorite author ruining your favorite characters is like very high. Like, come on now, we see it all the time in TV shows. So I just like to keep my favorite characters in what is their thing. And so I just don't like when, like, I don't like when authors are clearly doing a cash grab and like they clearly are trying to keep their bills paid. I don't really think that Tahira Mafi was trying to keep her bills paid because like she has like such a successful series and her husband also does too. It's freaking ransom raised. Like, come on now. I just feel like, I don't know, like book 3, like it was just not, it was just very unserious. It was a very unserious series after a certain point. It was no longer fun. I had a lot of favorite characters. I really did. I had a lot of fun reading those series. Once I got to book 5, no, it was book 6. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't know how people kept reading them books and being like, I want more. Y'all are better than me. So I knew when to tap the hell out, and I did. But that was fun. That was fun. The Diviners, everyone loves this book. It's like a lot of people's favorite books. I just think it's very boring and I didn't really connect to any of the characters. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. It's not a very memorable book. I think the original cover is like very beautiful. I think that the series, like how the series has like 3 different cover changes and like each cover in the series is a completely different cover is absolutely hilarious to me. And then like the fans getting like the box set, and that's like the only thing they got that has like a complete like one, like the consistency of the series, you have to buy a box set. Sorry to y'all. The Addicted to You series, I talked about the Calloway sisters in my last video. I don't really like the Addicted to You series. I don't like how Christy and Becca Ritchie write certain romances. Like in the Addicted to You series, like you see Rose and Connor get together through Lily and Lowe's like point of view, but Lily and Lo are already falling in love, so they're focused on their relationship, so you don't really get to see like Rose and Connor's relationship. And then instead of writing a book about Rose and Connor falling in love, the author just goes to write a book of them already together, and it's like, what the hell, what is that? So that's why I don't like this. But also I don't really care for Lily and Lo. I don't really care about their romance. I'm not really a friends to lover girly. Childhood friends to lovers, like this, they are technically childhood friends to lovers, which I like. And it's like they even want like fake dating, but the authors throw you into the series like in the middle of all of that. Like they are already been fake dating, all this stuff, and it's like the way that the authors write is just very let's say interesting. Let's leave it at that. Verity. I have a like rant review on my Anna Reads if you want to check that out. But yeah, I don't really like Verity. I didn't really care for the end, but if you want to know, I think I'm team Letter. I don't remember. Oh, my foot was asleep. Oh, but like 3 toes specifically, like not the whole foot. Anyways, so I just think that I think that Verity's fine. I don't really like Colleen Hoover, but I've read a lot of her books for some reason, just to torture myself and just to see like what do people love about her, and I cannot for the life of me figure it out. Like I cannot figure it out. But maybe, no shade, I've been reading like all my life, but I've also been active in like the book community for about 5-7 years now, so I've already like, I don't know, I feel like Colleen Hoover is good for people who just started reading and they don't have anything else better to read, whereas like I already had that era of like reading Wattpad books, and then I stopped reading Wattpad books and started reading real books, and I read the trash real books, and I started reading like better authors, and I was like, oh my gosh, these books are so great. Who the hell was I reading before then, you know? I feel like Colleen Hoover is that kind of author where like you stop reading for a few years, you get on book talk, you see a lot of people talking about it, and you check it out and you're like, wow, this is the greatest piece of literature I've ever read. Why would you think that? Judge anybody. I mean, I am a Virgo, so I low-key am, but my opinion doesn't really matter, so who cares? Love It, Other Words. Now this book, like this book, I Am Side-Eyeing You, I like this book. The main character is supposed to be like black. I think she's supposed to be mixed, but like the authors never like tell people that or like put their foot down. Like whenever people edit Macy, they make her white and the authors just like repost it, like they just let her. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I don't like this book because it's a grape scene where the love interest is taken advantage of while he's drunk, and he thinks that the girl is the main character, and then the main character walks in and he's like, oh shit, and then she thinks that he's cheating on her, and like he explains it and she's still just like, no, you cheated on me. And I'm just like, I don't really like that. I don't really like how it's written. I kind of think that like the authors didn't do a good job of writing that. Like I remember reading a lot of reviews and like people just not even noticing like that's what that scene was, and I just don't think that the authors really handled that with care. It just made me really uncomfortable. And if you like it, I am side-eyeing you. Kings of the Wild. This is like a fantasy book, like a adult fantasy book. I remember I was reading this book. I listened to the audiobook while I was playing The Sims during the pandemic. What a time. That was when I was spending like 72 hours playing The Sims. Like I was like up for literally like 3 days at a time because I have insomnia. That was crazy. I was listening to Kings of the Wild and I just thought it was like really boring. Yeah, like I don't know, there wasn't really anything funny. Like I don't mind, like, you know, I don't know, I've read like other fantasy books that follow like a group of men and like they were just like so much better and so much more entertaining than like what that was. Nevernight, I've read this book in like 2 formats. I do own the book physically and I'm just gonna try to read it that way because everyone loves that book, but I think it's very boring. I know that Mia's supposed to be like some like bad bitch, but I think because everybody else loves her because she's supposed to be a bad bitch, like I just don't see it. It's like whenever I'm reading it, I'm just like, what are y'all seeing that I'm not like? So sorry, I know like playing with hair kind of irritates people sometimes. So yeah, I just don't know what the girlies are getting that I am not. Dreamland series. So I think that I just don't like Lauren Asher as a writer. I don't really like a lot of, like, no offense, but like the Kindle Unlimited authors. I feel like the way that they, first of all, they're clearly writing, obviously, like I know they get like, you get paid per page, and it's very obvious like when they're writing, just like they can get like a stack out of their books. But also like I just don't like the way this author writes male POVs. I think that she makes her male characters like very boring. I don't like a lot of Kindle Unlimited, like the way that Kindle Unlimited authors write male POVs, because they make their male characters like very like misogynistic, and it's like the most sexist things about like the female character. I don't like the way that women authors, like Kindle Unlimited authors, write male characters, because it just makes them like very corny and lame. And Lauren Asher is definitely, she's just corny in general. Like it's not even just her, like Lauren Asher is just very corny and cringe to me, and I don't fuck with it. Indigo Ridge, it's propaganda. I read the book, I thought it was okay. First of all, I read another series by her under her pen name Willow Nash, and that was literally the exact same book. And I'm very confused. Like I don't understand, like when she has like, you know, fans who like read both her names. The other series like is literally the same book, the propaganda and everything. I just cannot. That's also why I can't read small town romances, because like the propaganda is crazy. And I'm very glad that like people on TikTok are starting to talk about it, because like I'm not really on book talk, I'm not really on the book community in TikTok, but sometimes I see their TikToks, and I'm very glad that they're starting to like talk about it, because I've been side-eyeing y'all for a minute, but I'm not really part of that community, so I just mind my business. Babel, this one was sad because I love The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. It's actually on my previous list, but I don't know, I think I love R.F. Kuang, but I just feel like this book just didn't connect with me. I kept getting bored. It wasn't really a lot of magic in the book. I expected like a lot more magic than like what it was. And then the characters, I didn't really care about the characters. I like the main character, I guess, but not all that much. I feel like you already know when my camera died because the angle is just different and weird and unsettling, kind of just like me. But okay, so the next book I have is the Alice 6, and the Alice 6 I thought was like, I don't know, I just feel like this book is overhyped, period. I don't think it's like written very well. I think that the characters, it's supposed to be like an adult book, but the characters come off like very like childish and like YA, and I feel like the author was definitely like pretentious and like trying too hard to have these characters just be. And I think that the magic system didn't really make sense, and I think the best thing about the Alice 6 was the romance between like the little academic rivals to lovers romance. That was probably the best thing in this book. But then we have Serpent and Dove, which I just didn't like at all. Like, I don't think the writing was good. I just didn't really care about the characters. I didn't really care about their romance. I didn't really care about like the smut. I don't know. I don't know. I actually don't even think about this book. I don't own it anymore. I forgot I even read. Actually, when I was searching up books to put on this list, I had to search up Serpent and Dove because I could not remember if I read this book or not. I did. I gave it 2 stars. But like, that's it. From Blood and Ash. Okay. Now, hear me out, because I know y'all are probably like, Mana, you own all the books in the series. You have a special edition of the book. Like, what are you talking about? I can acknowledge that a book is terrible and know that like have loved it at the same time. 2 things can be true. This is 4, but 2 things can be true, okay? I can acknowledge that a book that I love is shit, because it is. Like, I know that, first of all, I'm the first person to tell you the book is shit, actually. But it's not that great. I think that, first of all, I say this every time I talk about Jennifer L. Armentrout, I think she deserves to be in prison. She has not had an original idea ever. Every single thing that she writes is a carbon copy of something else that was popular at the same time. The only thing that From Blood and Ash isn't a carbon copy of anything popular, but it is a literal compiled like list of authors. Like, the main character is literally recent from Shadow. I think that she definitely like copied Sarah J Maas, because the main character is like literally recent, and like she wants these books to be like super long, and like everyone loved him like they love Sarah J Maas, and it's like these books don't need to be that long. Like, she could have edited these down. Like, these could have been like literally 300 pages. Like, they do not need to be that long. They don't have that much information. The series doesn't need to be that long, honestly. And then she keeps adding books. Like, she has like this like book for the love interest from his POV. I don't care. I'm not gonna read it. I'm probably gonna finish the series though, but I'm not gonna read it. I cannot wait for the series to be over. Yeah, but I keep reading them. I'm gonna keep reading them. The last book is Kingdom of the Wicked. Once again, I enjoyed this book, but I can still acknowledge that it is a piece of shit. This book is actually absolutely, like, the writing is not good. This is the same author who wrote Stalking Jack the Ripper. Once again, the writing is not good. Like, the writing is absolutely terrible. And I knew the writing was terrible when I went to Kingdom of the Wicked, because I read Stalking Jack the Ripper. And then I read this. I was thinking that the writing was going to get better, and I read this one and it did not. And then I feel like a lot of people are like hyping this author up and like reading her books. That her writing is just never going to get better, because now people just think that she's good. And she is not. She actually sucks. But I just like the romance, and I like the dynamic and the tension that they had. But like, once I got to the second book, I didn't care. And then the third book, I already didn't really like the second book as much as I liked the first one. And then a lot of people just did not like the third book, so I'm trying to decide if I want to keep the first 2 books or actually get rid of them, because well, actually the first book was actually gifted to me by Fairy Loot, so I will keep them actually, but they suck. Anyway, so yeah, that's it for this video. Part 3 will be as soon, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.